The bridge of the Theldoran exploration ship hummed with quiet activity. Commander Vexthal stood before the main viewing screen, his three eyes focused on the planet below. Kepler 442c hung in space like a green and blue jewel, but something about it felt wrong. The sensors had picked up energy signatures that should not exist on this world. "Commander, the readings are confirmed," said Science Officer Rowland, her voice carrying a note of confusion. "There are artificial structures on the surface. Power generation, agriculture, signs of a settlement." Vexthal felt his skin plates shift with unease. This planet was listed in the galactic database as uninhabitable. The atmosphere was harsh, the weather patterns violent, and the native plant life was toxic to most known species. No colony should exist here. No one should have tried to settle this hostile world. "How many life signs?" he asked. "Approximately 50,000, Commander, all concentrated in one main settlement near the equator. 50,000 lives on a world that should be empty." Vexthal made his decision quickly. "Prepare a contact team. Full diplomatic protocols. If someone is down there, they have survived against impossible odds. We will approach with respect." 2 hours later, the landing craft descended through thick clouds. The team inside consisted of Commander Vexthal, Dr. Shalnari, the xenobiologist, Ambassador Tirlon, and 6 security officers. As they broke through the cloud layer, they saw the settlement spread below them. It was beautiful. Elegant buildings rose from carefully planned streets. Gardens and parks dotted the landscape. Solar collectors and wind generators provided clean energy. The architecture was unfamiliar but pleasing to the eye. Whoever built this place had done so with care and love. The craft landed in a designated zone outside the main settlement. A welcoming committee was already waiting. Vexthal felt a shock of recognition as he saw them. Humans, but that was impossible. Humans were still confined to their home system, Earth. They had only recently achieved basic interstellar travel. Their technology was primitive compared to most galactic species. They should not be here thousands of light years from Earth. A woman stepped forward from the human group. She was tall, with dark skin and gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her face showed lines of age and wisdom. She wore simple clothes in earth tones, and her posture was straight and dignified. "Welcome to Haven's Rest," she said in perfect galactic standard. "I am Elena Voss, Colony Administrator. We have been expecting visitors eventually, though we hoped it would be much later." Vexthal performed the traditional Theldoran greeting, touching his chest with both hands. "I am Commander Vexthal of the Theldoran Exploration Fleet. We mean you no harm. But I must ask, how are humans here? This planet is not in any of our records as a human colony world." Elena's expression became sad and careful. "Our ancestors arrived here 300 years ago on the colony ship Perseverance. We lost contact with Earth during the journey. As far as we know, Earth believes the ship was lost with all hands." Dr. Shalnari stepped forward, her curiosity overwhelming her caution. 300 years? With the technology humans possess then, how did you survive? This planet's environment should have killed you within weeks. "We adapted," Elena said simply, but her eyes held secrets. "Come, let us show you our home. You must be tired from your journey. We offer you our hospitality." The Theldoran team followed the humans into the settlement. As they walked through the streets, Vexthal observed everything with growing confusion. The humans moved with easy confidence. Children played in gardens filled with native plants that the database listed as extremely toxic. Workers carried heavy loads without mechanical assistance. Everyone looked healthy and strong, despite living on a world that should be slowly killing them. They were led to a large building in the center of the settlement. Inside was a comfortable meeting room with furniture sized for various species. The Theldorans had clearly been expected. Elena gestured for them to sit. "You have questions?" Elena said as refreshments were brought. "I will answer what I can. But first, you must understand something important. We are peaceful people. We have built a good life here. We harm no one. We ask only to be left in peace." Ambassador Tirlon leaned forward. "We respect your wishes, Administrator Voss, but you must understand our position. A human colony exists where none should be possible. Your presence here raises many questions for the Galactic Council. We must report this discovery." Elena's hands tightened on the arms of her chair. For just a moment, Vexthal saw something flash in her eyes. Fear? No, something deeper. Something like dread. "If you must report us, we cannot stop you," Elena said quietly. "But I ask you to consider carefully before you dig too deeply into our history. Some knowledge carries a heavy price. Some secrets were meant to stay buried. The room fell silent. Dr. Shalnari broke the tension with a gentle question. Administrator Voss, would you allow us to conduct basic medical scans? Nothing invasive. We simply wish to understand how you have adapted to this environment. No, Elena said firmly. We must decline any medical examinations. This is not negotiable. Vexthal studied the human woman carefully. She was hiding something significant, but what? And why did she seem so afraid of them learning the truth? His instincts, honed over decades of exploration, told him that Haven's Rest held mysteries that might change everything. Outside the window, he watched human children playing in the toxic gardens, laughing and running with impossible energy. Something was very wrong here, or perhaps something was very different. The real question was whether the galaxy was ready to learn what that difference meant. Dr. Shalnari could not sleep. For 3 days the Thelderan team had been guests at Haven's Rest, and every observation raised more questions than answers. She sat in her temporary quarters, reviewing her notes on her datapad. Nothing made sense. Nothing followed the rules of biology as she understood them. That morning she had witnessed something that should have been impossible. A construction crew was working on a new building near the edge of the settlement. She had been watching them out of simple curiosity. The humans used basic tools and machinery, nothing advanced. Then one of the workers, a young man, had lost his footing on the scaffolding. He fell from the 3rd level, perhaps 12 meters, and hit the concrete foundation below with a sickening sound. Shalnari had started running toward the scene, expecting to find a dead or dying human. Instead, the young man had sat up, shaken his head, and stood up. His co-workers helped him to a bench. There was blood from a cut on his arm, but otherwise he seemed fine. He was back at work 2 hours later. No species she knew could survive a fall like that without serious injury. Humans, according to the galactic database, had relatively fragile bodies. Their bones broke easily. Their organs were vulnerable, yet this man had walked away from certain death. She had tried to approach the worker later to ask for a medical scan. He had politely but firmly refused. Like every other human she had asked, he declined any examination. The colony's medical facility had also denied her access to any records or samples. Now at midnight, Shalnari slipped out of her quarters and walked through the quiet streets of Haven's Rest. The settlement was beautiful at night, lit by soft lights that did not disturb the natural darkness. She found herself in one of the public gardens, surrounded by the native plants of Kepler 442c. She took out her portable scanner and examined the plants around her. According to her equipment, these specimens produced a sap that contained neurotoxins lethal to most species. Even brief skin contact should cause paralysis. Yet earlier that day she had watched human children playing in this very garden, touching the plants with their bare hands, laughing and running without fear. It is beautiful, is it not? Shalnari spun around. A human man stood a few meters away. He was older, perhaps 60 standard years, with gray hair and warm brown skin. He moved so quietly that she had not heard him approach at all. I apologize, he said with a gentle smile. I did not mean to startle you. I am Marcus Chen, the colony historian. I often walk at night. I find it peaceful. Shalnari's hearts were beating fast from the surprise, but she forced herself to calm down. I am Dr. Shalnari. I was simply observing your local flora. Marcus nodded and moved closer, running his hand along one of the toxic plants. These are beautiful but dangerous. We teach our children from a young age to respect them. But your children play here, Shalnari said, unable to contain her confusion. I have seen them touch these plants. The toxins should harm them. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Perhaps we have built up immunity over generations, he said finally. But his tone suggested he was not telling the full truth. Mr. Chen, Shalnari said carefully, I have been a xenobiologist for 40 years. I have studied hundreds of species across dozens of worlds. What I have observed here does not match any known biological principles. Your people survive conditions that should kill you. You show physical capabilities that exceed your species' baseline by significant margins. Please help me understand. Marcus sat down on a nearby bench and gestured for her to join him. His face was troubled, as if he was wrestling with a difficult decision. Doctor, what do you know about the Perseverance? He asked. Only what Administrator Voss told us. Your colony ship left Earth 300 years ago and was lost. You arrived here and somehow survived. That is the simple version, Marcus said quietly. The truth is more complicated and more dangerous. Before he could continue, a younger woman appeared from another path. She moved with surprising speed and grace. "Marcus," she said sharply, "the administrator wants to see you now." Marcus stood slowly. He looked at Shalnari with sad eyes. "Some truths are heavy burdens, Doctor. Be careful what you seek to learn." Then he walked away with the young woman, leaving Shalnari alone in the garden. The next day, Commander Vexthal called an emergency meeting with his senior staff aboard the ship. They gathered in the secure conference room. The commander's expression was grim. "I have reviewed all our observations from the past 3 days," he said. "I have also consulted with experts back at Theldoran Command. Something is fundamentally wrong with this colony. The humans here are not normal members of their species." "I agree," said Dr. Shalnari. "I believe they have undergone some form of genetic modification or evolutionary acceleration. The question is how and why." "Could they have done this to themselves?" asked one of the security officers. 300 years ago, humans barely understood genetic science, Shalnari replied. They did not have the technology for this level of modification. Yet the changes I am observing are profound and systematic. This was not natural adaptation. Ambassador Tirlon spoke up. "I attempted to access the colony's historical archives today. I was denied." Administrator Voss was polite but absolutely firm. She said that some records are sealed for the protection of the colony. "Protection from what?" Vexthal asked. "From us learning the truth?" "Perhaps," Tirlon said. "Or protection from something else. Commander, I believe these people are genuinely afraid. Not of us, but of what might happen if we learn their secret." Vexthal stood and paced the room. "The Galactic Council will not accept ignorance. A human colony with unexplained biological enhancements is a matter of significant interest. Some will see it as a threat. Others will see it as an opportunity. We need answers." "Administrator Voss has invited us to a formal dinner tonight," Tirlon said. "Perhaps we can press her for more information." That evening, the Theldoran delegation attended the dinner. It was held in a beautiful hall with high ceilings and windows that showed the starry sky. The food was excellent, carefully prepared to accommodate different species' dietary needs. The humans were gracious hosts, but Vexthal noticed something during the meal. When one of his security officers accidentally knocked over a glass, a human server caught it before it hit the floor. The movement was impossibly fast, almost a blur. The human looked embarrassed, as if she had revealed something she should not have. After the meal, Vexthal approached Elena Voss privately. "Administrator, we cannot continue this dance of polite evasion. My people need answers. The Council will demand them. Please tell us the truth about Haven's Rest." Elena looked at him with tired eyes. "And if the truth is something the galaxy is not ready to hear." "What then, Commander?" Kirnas was the youngest member of the Theldoran expedition. At only 23 standard years, she was an apprentice archaeologist, brought along to document any historical findings. She was also the most curious member of the team, which often got her into trouble. For the past week, she had been exploring Haven's Rest with her recording equipment, documenting the architecture and culture of the colony. During these explorations, she had become friendly with several of the younger colonists. One of them was Marcus Chen, the grandson of the colony historian who shared his name. Young Marcus was different from the other colonists. He seemed troubled, burdened by something heavy. He often stared at the central dome building with an expression that mixed fear and guilt. One afternoon, as they sat together in a cafe, Kirnas finally asked him about it. "That building troubles you," she observed. "Why?" Marcus looked at his hands. "Because it contains the truth. The real history of our colony. Not the simple story we tell outsiders. Will you show me?" Kirnas asked softly. "I am an archaeologist. I seek truth, not comfort." Marcus was quiet for a long time. Finally, he nodded. "Meet me at the dome tonight, 2 hours after midnight. Come alone. If anyone knows I am doing this, I will be in serious trouble." That night, Kirna slipped through the dark streets. The dome building rose before her, its surface gleaming in the moonlight. Marcus waited in the shadows near a side entrance. He looked frightened but determined. "Are you sure about this?" he whispered. "I need to understand," Kirnas replied. Marcus produced a key card and opened the door. They moved through dark corridors, Marcus leading the way with confidence born from familiarity. They descended several levels underground. The air grew cooler, Finally, they reached a heavy door marked with warnings in multiple languages. "This is the Forbidden Archive," Marcus said. "Only the administrator and the senior historians have access. What you are about to see must never be shared without careful thought. Promise me you will be wise with this knowledge." "I promise," Kirna said solemnly. The door opened into a large room filled with old equipment and storage units. Marcus went to a central console and activated it. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing documents and images from 300 years ago. "This is the original log of the Perseverance," Marcus explained. "The true log, not the edited version in our public archives." He brought up a video recording. A woman in a captain's uniform appeared. She looked exhausted and desperate. The timestamp showed it was recorded 2 weeks before the Perseverance reached Kepler 442c. "This is Captain Sarah Chen, my ancestor," Marcus said quietly. On the screen, Captain Chen began to speak. "This will be my final log entry before we make planetfall. I have made a decision that will either save us or doom us. Future generations will judge me if any survive to do so." The captain explained that the Perseverance had suffered critical damage during its journey. Life support was failing. The colony ship would not last more than a few weeks. They had detected Kepler 442c and decided to attempt an emergency landing, even though the planet was hostile to human life. But then the captain described something else. During their approach, they had detected a structure in orbit around the planet, an ancient station abandoned and dark but still functioning. Scans suggested it was millions of years old. "We boarded the station," the captain continued in the recording. "What we found inside changed everything. The station contains technology beyond our understanding. Genetic modification chambers, medical bays, data archives. We managed to translate some of the data using mathematical patterns." The captain's face filled with anguish. "The station was built by a species we call the precursors. They left warnings in the database. The technology was designed as evolutionary weapons, tools for creating super soldiers, apex predators, ultimate survivors. The warnings were clear. Use creates dependency. Subjects become optimal predators. Do not activate unless you accept the consequences." Kirnas felt her blood run cold as she watched. "But we are dying," Captain Chen said. "All 12,000 colonists will be dead within weeks. The planet below is toxic and violent. Normal humans cannot survive there. So I have decided to use the precursor technology. I will modify our genetics. I will give us the tools to survive anything. This is my choice, my burden. May God forgive me." The recording ended. Marcus brought up another file. This one showed medical scans and genetic data. Kirnas did not understand all the technical details, but the summary was clear. The precursor technology had rewritten human DNA. It had enhanced muscle density, bone strength, healing speed, immune response, neural processing, and dozens of other systems. Every colonist went through the chambers, Marcus explained. Captain Chen went first to make sure it was safe. The modifications worked better than anyone could have imagined. Suddenly, humans could breathe the toxic air. We could eat the native plants. We could survive falls, injuries, diseases. We became stronger, faster, more durable. But there was a cost, he continued, bringing up more files. The modifications are permanent and heritable. Every child born on Haven's Rest carries the enhanced genome. We cannot go back to being normal humans. We are something new now. Something different. Marcus showed her more documents, psychological studies, behavioral reports. The modifications did not just change our bodies. They changed our minds too. The precursors designed this technology to create warriors. Humans are already aggressive by galactic standards. The modifications enhanced our predatory instincts, our territorial behavior, our capacity for violence. The first generation struggled terribly, Marcus said sadly. There were incidents, fights, dangerous outbursts. People who could not control their new strength and speed. Captain Chen established strict cultural rules to manage it. Meditation practices, physical training, social structures designed to channel aggression into productive work. Over generations, we have learned to control our nature. But it is always there beneath the surface. Kirna stared at the data, her mind racing. You are saying your people are genetically engineered super soldiers? We are saying we are humans who were forced to change in order to survive, Marcus corrected gently. We did not choose this, but we have lived with it for 300 years. We have built a peaceful society despite our nature. We harm no one. We want only to be left alone. Why are you showing me this? Kirnas asked. Marcus looked at her with tired eyes. Because your people will not stop investigating. The Theldoran Council will demand answers. I would rather you hear the truth from us than discover it through forced examination. At least this way, you might understand our fear. Fear of what? Fear of what the galaxy will do when they learn what we are, Marcus said. Some will want to quarantine us. Some will want to destroy us. Some will want to use our genetics for their own purposes. And there is one more thing you need to know. He brought up a final document, a star chart with hundreds of coordinate markers. The precursor station's database contained these coordinates, Marcus said. Hundreds of locations across the galaxy where they placed similar stations. The precursors seeded their technology across space, perhaps hoping someone would find it. Perhaps as a test, Kirnas understood immediately. Other colonies. Other lost human ships. The Perseverance was not the only colony ship to disappear, Marcus confirmed. Earth sent out dozens during that era. Most were lost. We do not know how many found precursor stations. We might not be alone. Kirnas looked at the young human, seeing the weight he carried. What do you want me to do with this information? Tell your commander the truth, Marcus said, but ask him to think carefully before he reports it to the Council. Once this knowledge spreads, there is no taking it back. The galaxy will change, and we are not sure it will change for the better. Commander Vexthal stood in his private quarters, staring at the data crystal that Kirnas had given him. For 3 hours he had reviewed the contents of the Forbidden Archive. Now he understood why the colonists had been so afraid. Now he understood why Elena Voss had begged them to leave and forget. He called an emergency meeting with his senior staff. When they were all assembled in the secure conference room, he shared everything. The silence that followed was heavy and terrible. By the ancestors, Ambassador Tirlon whispered. They are weapons. Living weapons. They are survivors, Dr. Shalnari corrected quietly. They were dying humans who used ancient technology to give themselves a chance at life. Everything they have done since then has been focused on living peacefully. But the potential for violence is there, one of the security officers said. Enhanced strength, speed, aggression. Doctor, you have seen what these humans can do. If they decided to fight, what could stop them? Shalnari had no answer. She had run simulations based on the data from the archive. A single enhanced human could potentially fight multiple Theldoran soldiers. A coordinated group could be devastating. We must report this to the Council, Tirlon said. This is too significant to hide. The galaxy needs to know. And what will the Council do? Vexthal asked. Quarantine them? Destroy them? Try to capture them for study? The Council will decide based on facts and wisdom, Tirlon replied. Before they could continue the discussion, an alarm sounded. The ship's security officer spoke urgently through the communication system. Commander, we have a situation on the planet. A Theldoran military scout ship has entered orbit without authorization. They are sending troops to the surface. Vexthal felt ice in his veins. What, on whose authority? General Cathron of the Military Science Division. He monitored our reports. He wants genetic samples from the colonists for military research. The commander was running before the words finished. Get me a transport to the surface, now. 20 minutes later, Vexthal and his team were racing toward Haven's Rest in their shuttle. As they approached, they could see the military transport already on the ground near the colony. Smoke rose from one of the buildings. They landed and rushed toward the center of the settlement. A crowd of colonists had gathered, forming a protective circle around their children. Facing them were 20 Theldoran military troops in full armor, weapons raised. General Cathron stood at the front, a device in his hand designed to take genetic samples. Stand down, Vexthal shouted as he approached. General, you have no authority here. Cathron turned to him with cold eyes. I have every authority, Commander. The Military Council authorized this operation. These humans possess genetic enhancements that could revolutionize our medical and military capabilities. We will have samples, by force if necessary. Elena Voss stood at the front of the colonist group. Her face was calm, but Vexthal could see tension in every line of her body. General, we will not submit to forced medical procedures. We are peaceful people, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. You think you can resist trained soldiers? Cathron laughed. You have no weapons. You have no military. Surrender now and no one will be harmed. You do not understand what you are threatening, Elena said quietly. Please walk away. Leave us in peace. Take the samples, Cathron ordered his troops. The soldiers moved forward. Elena raised her hand and every human in the crowd tensed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then 3 of the soldiers grabbed a young human woman from the edge of the group, trying to drag her away from the others. What happened next occurred so fast that Vexthal's eyes could barely follow it. The young woman twisted in the soldier's grip with inhuman speed. Her movement was a blur. One soldier went flying backward, his armor dented from a blow that should not have been possible from an unarmed human. Another soldier tried to grab her again, and she dodged so smoothly it seemed like she had predicted his movement before he made it. 5 more colonists moved to help her. They were not trained soldiers, just ordinary people. But they moved like predators with grace and deadly precision. One of them, an older man, took a direct hit from a stun weapon that should have knocked him unconscious. He staggered, shook his head, and kept moving. "Fire!" Catherine shouted. "Lethal force authorized. Energy weapons discharged." One bolt hit a human man in the chest. He fell, but his companions dragged him behind cover. To Vexthal's shock, the man was still moving, still conscious. Despite a wound that should have killed him instantly, the colonists were not fighting back with intent to kill. They were defending, disarming, creating barriers between the soldiers and their children. But their capabilities were terrifying. They dodged weapons fire with movements that seemed impossible. They struck with precision that disabled without killing. They absorbed damage that should have been lethal and kept functioning. Elena Voss had not moved from her position. "Enough!" she shouted, and her voice carried absolute authority. Every human froze. "Stand down. All of you, stand down now." The colonists obeyed instantly, stepping back and raising their hands. But the damage was done. The Theldoran soldiers had seen what these humans could do. Fear showed clearly on their faces. "You see, General?" Elena said, turning to Catherine. "This is what we are. This is what we have tried to hide from the galaxy. We are not normal humans anymore. We are apex predators with human intelligence and emotion. We have spent 300 years learning to control our nature, to channel it into productive, peaceful purposes." She walked toward the general, and every soldier tensed. But Elena moved slowly, deliberately, showing no threat. "We did not choose this transformation. It was forced upon us by circumstance, but we have proven that we can live peacefully. We harm no one. We want only to be left alone to live our lives." Vexthal stepped forward, placing himself between Elena and Catherine. "General, stand down. You have seen what these people are capable of. If they wanted to, they could have killed every one of your soldiers in seconds, but they did not. They showed restraint even when attacked. That speaks to their character more than their capabilities. They are weapons," Catherine said, his voice shaking slightly. "Weapons that think and feel. Do you not see the danger? What if they decide to leave this planet? What if they spread across the galaxy?" "We will not leave," Elena said firmly. "We know what we are. We know the fear we would cause. This is our home. We ask only to remain here in peace." Dr. Shalnari had been recording everything. Now she spoke up. "General, I have analyzed the data from the Forbidden Archive. These modifications are irreversible. You cannot take samples and recreate them. The process requires the precursor technology, which is unique and ancient. Forcing these people to give you samples will gain you nothing." Catherine looked at her, then at the colonists, then at his soldiers who had been so easily defeated. Finally, he lowered his weapon. "This is not over. The council will hear of this. They will make the final decision about your future." As the military forces withdrew, Vexthal stood with Elena and the colonists. The young man who had been shot was already sitting up, the wound healing before their eyes at an impossible rate. "I am sorry," Vexthal said to Elena. "I am sorry that we found you. I am sorry for what is about to happen." Elena looked at him with sad, knowing eyes. "We knew this day would come eventually. Now the galaxy must decide what to do with us. We can only hope that wisdom prevails over fear." But as Vexthal looked at the enhanced humans around him, seeing their strength and their restraint, he wondered if the galaxy truly had enough wisdom for what was coming. The Galactic Council chamber was a massive dome on the Theldoran homeworld, large enough to accommodate representatives from 200 species. Today it was completely full. The discovery of Haven's Rest had shaken the entire galaxy. Everyone wanted to hear what would be decided about the enhanced human colony. Commander Vexthal stood in the witness section, along with Dr. Shalnari, Ambassador Tirlon, and young Kirnas. They had spent weeks being questioned, providing testimony and evidence. Now the final debate would happen. On the main floor, three factions had emerged. The first, led by General Catheron, argued for immediate military quarantine or elimination of the colony. "They are too dangerous to be allowed to exist," he declared. "Their capabilities exceed any known species. If they spread beyond their world, they could become a threat to galactic peace." The second faction, led by various scientific councils, wanted to contain the colony but study it extensively. "This is a unique opportunity," they argued. "The genetic enhancements could benefit all species. Medical advances, longevity treatments, enhanced survival capabilities." The third faction, smaller but growing, argued for leaving the humans alone. Dr. Shalnari had become one of their strongest voices. "These people have committed no crimes," she told the council. "They have lived peacefully for 300 years. They have shown restraint even when attacked. Judge them by their actions, not by their potential for violence." But the strongest voice came from an unexpected source. Elena Voss had been granted permission to address the council. She stood now in the center of the chamber, a single human surrounded by hundreds of alien representatives. She wore simple clothes and carried herself with quiet dignity. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice calm and clear. "I stand before you not to beg for mercy but to offer truth. You are debating our future as if we are things to be studied or threats to be eliminated. But we are people. We are human beings who were faced with an impossible choice 300 years ago: die slowly in space or transform ourselves to survive." She walked slowly as she spoke, making eye contact with various council members. Captain Sarah Chen, who made that choice, knew the risk. She knew that the modifications would change us forever, but she also believed that humans could be better than their worst impulses. She believed that culture, choice, and compassion could overcome genetic programming. For 300 years, we have proven her right. Yes, we are stronger than normal humans. Yes, we are more durable, more aggressive, more dangerous. But we are also artists, teachers, parents, friends. We build gardens instead of weapons. We study philosophy instead of combat. We have created a peaceful, thriving society against all odds. Elena stopped at the center of the chamber. "You fear what we might become. I understand that fear. We live with it every day. Every parent on Haven's Rest fears for their children. Every person who feels that surge of aggressive instinct fears losing control. But we do not give in to that fear. We face it, we manage it, we overcome it through constant effort and cultural support. If you quarantine us, you prove that fear is stronger than wisdom. If you eliminate us, you commit genocide against people who have harmed no one. If you try to study us against our will, you reduce thinking, feeling beings to laboratory subjects." She turned to face the entire council. "We ask only for the chance to continue living as we have lived. In peace, in isolation if necessary. We will accept monitoring. We will accept restrictions on population growth. We will accept trade agreements. But we will not accept being treated as things rather than people." The chamber fell silent. Then a member of the council stood. She was a Theldoran elder, ancient and respected. "Administrator Voss, I have a question. The data we received shows that there may be other human colonies with similar enhancements. Other lost ships that found precursor stations. What do you know of this?" Elena took a deep breath. "We know only what we found in the precursor database. Coordinates for hundreds of similar stations across the galaxy. We do not know if other human colonies found them. But yes, it is possible." The Perseverance was not the only lost ship from that era. Murmurs filled the chamber. The elder continued, "If other enhanced human colonies exist, they may not have developed the same peaceful culture as Haven's Rest. They could be more aggressive, more militaristic. Does this not prove the danger?" "It proves only that every colony must be judged by its own actions," Elena replied. "If other enhanced colonies exist and they choose violence, then respond to that violence. But do not punish us for crimes we have not committed. Do not punish us for the potential actions of others we have never met." The debate continued for hours. Vextal watched representatives argue passionately on all sides. Finally, the vote was called. The chamber fell silent as the results were calculated. The elder Theldoran stood to announce the decision. By majority vote, the Galactic Council has decided that the colony of Haven's Rest will be granted protected sovereignty. However, this sovereignty comes with conditions. She read from the official document. First, the colony will accept a permanent monitoring station in orbit, staffed by Galactic Council observers. Second, The colony will agree to strict population controls to prevent expansion beyond sustainable limits. Third, the colony will agree to never develop space travel capabilities beyond their own system. Fourth, the colony will provide regular reports on their social and cultural development. Fifth, any enhanced human who wishes to leave Haven's Rest must submit to genetic therapy to reverse the enhancements before traveling to other worlds. In exchange, the Galactic Council recognizes Haven's Rest as a sovereign entity. They will be granted trade rights, diplomatic representation, and full protection under galactic law. Any species that attacks or threatens Haven's Rest will be considered in violation of Council authority. Elena closed her eyes briefly, relief washing over her face. We accept these terms. Thank you. Later, in a private meeting, Elena sat with Commander Vexthal and his team. You saved us, she said quietly. Your testimony made the difference. Vexthal shook his head. Your people saved yourselves. You showed the Council that enhanced capabilities and peaceful behavior can coexist. You gave them hope instead of fear. But the threat remains, Ambassador Tirlon said seriously. Other colonies. Other enhanced humans who may not share your values. I know, Elena said. We will help search for them if the Council asks. Perhaps we can teach them what we have learned about controlling our nature. Dr. Shalnari was quiet, studying her datapad. Finally, she spoke. Administrator Voss, I need to show you something. I have been monitoring deep space signals as part of my research. 3 days ago, we received an automated transmission. It is very old, perhaps 280 years. But the Council has only just detected it. She played the recording. Static filled the air, then a voice emerged, speaking in Old Earth standard. This is the colony ship Mayflower. Captain Rodriguez reporting. We have discovered something incredible in orbit around our destination planet, an ancient station. The technology inside is beyond anything humanity has created. We are investigating further. Requesting contact with Earth, please respond. Mayflower out. The room went cold. Elena stared at the datapad. Another colony ship. Another precursor station. Vexthal pulled up a star chart. The transmission came from a system 2,000 light-years from here. If they found the station 280 years ago, they have had time to establish a colony. Shalnari finished. Time to use the technology. Time to enhance themselves just as Haven's Rest did. Or they might have made different choices, Elena said. Every colony's story is unique. Different leadership, different circumstances, different cultures. Kirnes, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. The precursor database showed hundreds of station locations. How many lost human colony ships were there? Earth sent out 47 colony ships during that era, Elena said. Only 12 made it to their destinations and maintained contact. The rest were declared lost. That is 35 ships that could have found precursor stations. The implications hung heavy in the air. Somewhere in the galaxy there might be dozens of enhanced human colonies. Some might be peaceful like Haven's Rest. Others might have developed differently. Some might have expanded, created space travel, spread across multiple worlds. What do we do? Tirlon asked. Vexthal stood and looked out at the stars. We search. We investigate. We hope that if we find other colonies, they are like Haven's Rest. And if they are not... He did not finish the sentence. Elena stood beside him. If you find others, let us know. Let us talk to them first. Human to human. Perhaps we can reach them in ways you cannot. Perhaps, Vexthal agreed. But Administrator, you must understand. The galaxy has changed today. Humanity is no longer seen as a minor species confined to one system. You are now seen as a potential force for good or ill. That perception will affect everything. I know, Elena said softly. We went from being forgotten to being feared in a matter of weeks. But we will face this challenge the same way we faced living on Kepler 442c. With wisdom, patience, and hope. As the meeting ended and everyone departed, Vexthal stood alone in the observation room looking at the stars. Out there somewhere were other enhanced human colonies. Some might be allies. Some might be threats. The galaxy had just discovered that humanity's story was far larger and more complex than anyone had imagined. The question was, what would that story become? Would the enhanced colonies follow Haven's Rest example of peace, or would they choose a different path? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. The galaxy would never be the same. The secret had been discovered. The hidden colonies would be found. And humanity, whether they wanted it or not, had become one of the most significant species in known space. The age of quiet isolation was over. The age of reckoning had begun. The sky above New York was gray with smoke. Admiral Jack Mason watched the burning skyline from his office window. The alien attack had ended 3 days ago, but the fires still burned. This was the 6th attack this year, and it was only August. Mason turned away from the window. He looked at the wall covered with maps and photos. Red pins marked every city the aliens had destroyed. Berlin, Tokyo, Sydney, Rio. So many red pins. Too many. His assistant knocked on the door. "Admiral, they're waiting for you in the war room." Mason grabbed his cap and walked down the long hallway. The building had no power for lights, but sunlight came through broken windows. He passed soldiers and scientists. All of them looked tired. All of them looked worried. The war room was deep underground. Dozens of people sat around a large table. Screens on the walls showed Earth from space. More screens showed alien ships, patrolling near the moon. "What's the latest count?" Mason asked as he sat down. General Frank White stood up. He was old for a general, but the war had aged all of them. "We lost another 5 million people. That brings our total population down to just under 3 billion. We've lost 60% of our military forces." Dr. Lisa Turner, the chief scientist, opened her tablet. "Our defense systems are holding, but barely. We shot down 70% of their attack ships, but they just keep coming." Mason nodded. "And our production?" "Limited," said General White. "Most of our factories are damaged or destroyed. We're running on emergency supplies now." Captain Amy Brooks spoke up from her chair. "Sir, my fleet has 15 ships left. That's all we have in space. The aliens have thousands." The room fell quiet. Everyone knew the numbers. Everyone knew they were losing. "There's something else," said Colonel Mike Davis. He was head of intelligence. "We've been monitoring alien communications. They're planning something big." All eyes turned to him. "How big?" Mason asked. "The biggest attack yet. All their forces. Every ship from every species in their confederation. They want to end this once and for all." Dr. Turner looked at her tablet. "When?" 3 months. Maybe less. They're gathering ships from across the galaxy." Mason stood up and walked to the main screen. It showed Earth, small and blue, surrounded by enemy forces. "How many people know about Project Endgame?" "Just the 23 people in this room," Dr. Turner said. "Good. Keep it that way." Mason turned to face the room. "We've survived 6 major attacks. We've lost millions of people. Our cities are ruins, but we're still here." Lieutenant Susan Carter, the communications officer, raised her hand. "Sir, what if we surrender? Maybe they'll let some of us live." "They won't," said Ambassador Helen Grant. "I've tried to contact them 8 times. They don't want to talk. They want us extinct." Mason walked back to his chair. "Dr. Turner, how is the project going?" "We're ready," she said. "The weapon is complete. We've tested every component. It works." "And you're sure about the consequences?" Dr. Turner looked down. "Yes, sir. Once we activate it, there's no stopping it. The chain reaction will consume everything in the solar system, including us." The room was silent for a long moment. "So we have a choice," Mason said. "Die fighting or take them with us." Captain Brooks leaned forward. "How many enemy ships will be here for the final attack?" Colonel Davis checked his notes. "Our estimates say 15,000 ships, maybe more." Dr. Paul Rodriguez, one of the physicists, added, "The weapon can destroy everything within 4 billion miles. Nothing will survive. Not even us," General White said quietly. Mason stood again. "We need to send a message. Not just to the attackers, but to every species in the galaxy. They need to understand what they're forcing us to do." Ambassador Grant nodded. "A final warning?" "More than that," Mason said. "A promise. If they attack again, we won't just die. We'll take them with us." Dr. Turner closed her tablet. "The weapon is ready, Admiral. We can activate it at any time." "How long will the warning message travel through space?" Mason asked. Lieutenant Carter calculated quickly. "With our quantum transmitters, the message will reach every known species within hours." Mason looked around the room. These people had fought beside him for years. They had lost friends, family, entire worlds. But they were still here, still fighting. We'll send the message tomorrow, he decided. Full broadcast on all frequencies, every language, every species we know of. What exactly will we say? Ambassador Grant asked. Mason thought for a moment. Keep it simple. Tell them they have one choice. End their attacks now, or face total annihilation. Dr. Turner looked concerned. Admiral, if we tell them about the weapon, they might find a way to stop it. Let them try, Mason said. The important thing is that they understand. We're not bluffing. We're not negotiating. They stop or we all die together. General White stood up. I'll order our remaining forces to prepare for battle. All defensive positions, all weapons ready. Captain Brooks added. My ships will move into defensive formation around Earth. Good, Mason said. We've survived this long through courage and determination. We'll survive a little longer. And if we don't, he paused. If we don't, we'll make sure our sacrifice means something. The meeting ended and people left one by one. Mason stayed behind, staring at the screens. Somewhere in space, alien commanders were planning humanity's destruction. But tomorrow, they would learn that humans had plans of their own. Outside, the city still burned. But in the underground bunkers and hidden bases, humanity prepared its final message to the galaxy. The next morning, the war room was busy. Lieutenant Susan Carter sat at her console preparing the broadcast equipment. She had worked all night, making sure the message would reach every corner of the galaxy. Status report, Admiral Mason asked as he entered. All systems ready, sir, Carter replied. The quantum transmitters are synchronized. The message will broadcast in 47 languages. We've included mathematical proofs and visual diagrams. Dr. Paul Rodriguez looked up from his computer. I've added the physics behind our weapon, just enough to show we're serious, but not enough to help them stop it. Ambassador Helen Grant approached the Admiral. Sir, I've prepared 3 versions of the message, short and direct, medium with diplomatic language, and a longer explanation. Which one do you recommend? Mason asked. The short one, Grant said. They've ignored our diplomacy for years. Time for plain truth. General Frank White stood near the tactical display. The screen showed alien ships moving across the solar system. The enemy has increased patrols near Jupiter and Mars. They're testing our defenses. Dr. Lisa Turner entered with a folder of papers. Admiral, I've run final calculations. The weapon will work exactly as designed. The chain reaction will start in our sun and spread outward. How fast? Mason asked. The explosion will travel at 90% of light speed. It will reach the edge of our solar system in 12 hours. No one can outrun it. Colonel Mike Davis raised his hand. Sir, our spy satellites detected increased activity in the enemy fleet. They're preparing something. The final attack? Captain Amy Brooks asked. Possibly, Davis said. Their communications are heavily encrypted, but we've intercepted fragments. They mention a date 3 weeks from now. Mason nodded. That gives them time to ignore our warning and attack anyway. Dr. Turner sat down. Admiral, once we broadcast this message, there's no going back. They'll know we can destroy everything. Good, Mason said. Let them know. Begin the broadcast. Carter turned to her console. Broadcasting now, sir. The main screen changed. Earth appeared, turning slowly. Then Mason's face filled the screen. He looked directly into the camera. People of the galaxy, Mason said. This is Admiral Jack Mason of the United Earth Defense Force. For years you have attacked our world. You have killed our people. You have destroyed our cities. We have asked for peace. You have ignored us. The image showed destroyed cities, burning, forests and empty battlefields. Today we send our final message. Your Confederation is planning one last attack. We have developed a weapon that will destroy our entire solar system. If you attack us again, we will activate this weapon. The screen showed diagrams of the weapon's power, stars disappearing in massive explosions. You will not just destroy Earth. You will die with us. Every ship, every planet, everything within 4 billion miles will cease to exist. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The image changed back to Mason's face. You have one choice. End your attacks now, leave our space, never return, or face total annihilation. Mason paused, looking directly into the camera. We have nothing left to lose. We will not surrender. We will not run. Attack us again, and we all die together. The screen went black, then showed Earth one more time. This message repeats in all languages. You have been warned. Carter turned off the broadcast. Message sent, sir. It's transmitting on all frequencies. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Colonel Davis spoke up. Sir, we're getting responses already. From who? Mason asked. Everyone, Davis said. Enemy ships, neutral worlds, even some species we've never contacted before. Dr. Rodriguez studied his screen. The enemy communications are interesting. Some ships are reducing speed. Others are increasing it. They're divided, Ambassador Grant observed. Some believe us, some don't. General White pointed to the tactical display. Look at this, 3 enemy ships just changed course. They're moving away from our solar system. But the main fleet is still coming, Captain Brooks noted. Of course. They are, Mason said. They need to decide if we're bluffing. Dr. Turner opened her tablet. Admiral, I'm reading increased energy readings from their flagship. They're scanning for our weapon. Let them scan, Mason said. They won't find it until it's too late. Hours passed. The screens showed alien fleets across the galaxy receiving Earth's message. Some ships stopped. Others continued their approach. Davis received an encrypted message. Sir, we've intercepted something important. The enemy war council is meeting right now. Can we listen in? Mason asked. Working on it, Davis said. His fingers moved quickly over his keyboard. Got it, putting it on speakers. Strange voices filled the room. Electronic translations converted alien languages to English. The humans are lying, said one voice. They barely have enough power for shields. But what if they're not lying, said another. What if they really have such a weapon? Impossible. We would have detected it. So would have our allies, but 3 races just recalled their ships. Cowards. The humans are desperate. They're trying to scare us. I say we attack as planned, call their bluff. And if it's not a bluff, then we all die for nothing. The transmission went quiet for several minutes. Then a new voice spoke. This one sounded different, older, more powerful. The War Council has decided. The attack proceeds as planned. Prepare all forces for final assault in 3 weeks. If the humans want to die, we will grant their wish. Davis turned off the transmission. So much for diplomatic solutions. Mason stood up. They've made their choice, now we make ours. Dr. Turner looked at her calculations again. Admiral, 3 weeks gives us time for final preparations. We can evacuate more people. Evacuate where? General White asked. There's nowhere to run. Captain Brooks raised her hand. Sir, my ships can carry 20,000 people, that's all. The rest stay here. Mason walked to the window. Outside, he could see workers repairing damaged buildings. People trying to rebuild their lives between attacks. We'll evacuate who we can, he decided. But most of us stay. Someone needs to activate the weapon. Sir, Lieutenant Carter said, the message is still broadcasting. Every species in the galaxy knows what we'll do. Good, Mason said. Let them watch. Let them see what happens when they push humans too far. Ambassador Grant looked sad. A few species are offering sanctuary, small numbers only. Take it, Mason said. Save who we can. The rest of us finish this war. Dr. Rodriguez stood up. Admiral, I volunteer to stay with the weapon team. Someone needs to ensure proper activation. I stay too, said Dr. Turner. I built it. I should be here when it fires. One by one, people volunteered to stay, to fight, to die. Mason looked at them all. You honor the human race. In 3 weeks, we show them what we're made of. The room filled with determined voices. Earth's final message. had been sent. Now they would wait and prepare. 3 weeks later, the alien armada arrived. Commander Don Murphy watched his screens from the Planetary Defense Center. Thousands of ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. Ships of every size and color. Ships from 20 different alien races. Count them, he ordered his team. 12,000 enemy vessels, reported a technician. More arriving every minute. Murphy called Admiral Mason. Sir, they're here. Biggest force we've ever seen. I know. Mason's voice came through the speaker. All units, this is it. Activate all defenses. Around Earth, hidden weapons came online. Orbital platforms revealed themselves. Cloaked missile batteries powered up. Fighter ships launched from underground bunkers. Captain John Lee sat in his prototype fighter, waiting in space. His small ship was invisible to enemy scanners. Around him, 50 other pilots waited in similar ships. Green Squadron, this is Captain Lee. Enemy ships approaching Jupiter, we attack in 2 minutes. The alien fleet moved forward like a dark wave. Their ships fired at orbital platforms. Explosions lit up space. Earth's defense computer calculated, quickly, humans would last 12 hours at most. General Claire Adams commanded ground forces from a mountain base. Armies prepared for landing attacks. Civilians hid in deep bunkers. Every soldier knew their job. Hold them back. Every minute counted. Dr. Kate Williams, lead engineer for Project Endgame, worked in a secret lab beneath the Nevada desert. Final. Preparations were complete. The weapon was ready. But someone had to activate it manually. Someone had to stay behind. Doctor, we have a problem, said one technician. The automatic timer isn't working. Can you fix it? Williams asked. No. Ma'am, the electromagnetic interference from the battle is too strong. Someone needs to push the button manually. Williams nodded. She had expected this. Understood. Continue the countdown. In space, Captain Lee led his squadron into battle. Enemy fighters appeared like angry hornets. Lee dove his ship between 2 alien fighters firing lasers. One exploded. The other turned to chase him. This is Green 4, I got 3 on my tail. Green 3, help Green 4. Green 2, target that big ship. The battle was massive. Earth's fighters were fast and clever, but the aliens had numbers. For every alien ship destroyed, Earth lost 2 fighters. Commander Murphy directed the orbital defense. Platform 7, fire on the battlecruiser. Platform 3, protect the communications array. Enemy ships reached Earth's atmosphere. They targeted cities, power plants, and military bases. Earth's remaining battleships fought back. Captain Amy Brooks commanded the last space carrier from her bridge. All fighters defend the primary targets, don't let them reach the weapon sites. But the aliens had learned from previous attacks. They sent small ships to find hidden defenses. They used cyber attacks to shut down Earth's weapons. They learned Earth's tactics. On the ground, General Adams watched enemy troops land. Strange. Creatures in armor suits dropped from ships. They attacked with energy weapons that melted steel. 2nd Battalion, defend the power plant. 4th Battalion, fall back to position 3. Soldiers fought street by street. Human weapons were good, but alien technology was better. Humans used grenades, mines, and desperate tactics. They fought for every building, every street corner. Dr. Williams received updates every hour. 8 hours remaining. Enemy forces have reached the outer defense zones. Admiral Mason moved to the backup command center. The main war room was destroyed by orbital bombardment. Status of the weapon? Ready, sir, Williams reported. All components functional. Coordinates locked on the sun. How many people have we evacuated? 18,000 are away in our remaining ships, said Captain Brooks over the radio. They're headed for the neutral zone. Not enough, Mason said quietly. The battle raged on. Captain Lee's squadron was down to 20 pilots. They continued to attack, drawing enemy fighters away from Earth. Green Leader, this is command. Enemy capital ships are charging their main guns. Understood. All units. Kamikaze attack authorized. Make it count. Lee watched his pilots dive their ships into enemy vessels. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. But more alien ships kept coming. On the surface, cities fell one by one. London, Paris, Beijing. Human forces retreated to prepared positions. Every retreat was planned. Every delay bought time. 6 hours remaining, Williams announced. Enemy forces are 20 kilometers from weapon site 3. Can they stop the weapon? Mason asked. No, sir, but they can damage the launch sequence. We need to activate earlier than planned. Mason thought for a moment. The weapon needed to hit the sun at exact coordinates. Too early or too late, and it might not work properly. How much earlier? He asked. 1 hour. That's our minimum safety margin. Do it. Yes, sir. 1 hour countdown begins now. Williams initiated the final sequence. Deep beneath the ground, the weapon charged its systems. Energy readings climbed to dangerous levels. Above, the battle continued. Humans fought with everything they had: suicide attacks, ambushes, last stands. Every soldier knew what was coming. They fought to give the weapon time to activate. General Adams received word that the aliens had broken through the final defense line. Enemy forces were now 30 minutes from the main weapon site. All units, final orders. Hold your positions. Fight to the last man. You know what's at stake. No one retreated. No one surrendered. They had prepared for this moment for months. Commander Murphy watched the tactical display. Enemy ships surrounded Earth completely. The blue planet was covered in explosions and fire. Sir, we've lost all orbital defenses. Ground bases are falling. It doesn't matter anymore, Mason said. Dr. Williams, how much time? 30 minutes, sir. In space, Captain Brooks ordered all ships to maximum distance. This is Captain Brooks to all Earth vessels. Begin emergency retreat. Get as far as possible. But many ships didn't retreat. Many stayed to fight the final minutes. Dr. Williams stood at the control console. Around her, technicians prepared for the end. Someone had to stay. Someone had to push the final button. 20 minutes, she announced. Energy at 90%. The weapon hummed with power. Soon, very soon, Earth would send its final message to the galaxy. Dr. Kate Williams looked at the countdown timer. 15 minutes remaining. Around her, the secret lab shook from explosions above. The aliens were getting closer to the weapon site. Doctor, emergency transmission from Admiral Mason, her assistant, said. Williams pressed the button. Mason's voice was loud with background noise. Doctor, we need to activate now. Enemy forces have breached the outer compound. But sir, we still need 10 more minutes for full charge. Do it at 95% power, that's enough. Williams hesitated. 95% meant the weapon might not work perfectly. It might not consume everything as planned. Do it. Doctor, that's an order. Yes, sir. Williams turned to her team. Begin final activation sequence. Override safety protocols. The machine rumbled louder. Energy readings jumped to dangerous levels. Techs ran to their stations, pressing buttons and turning switches. Above ground, the final battle raged. General Claire Adams watched enemy soldiers storm the facility entrance. Her troops fought desperately, using everything they had. Hold the line. Every second counts. Soldiers threw grenades into enemy ranks. Machine gun fire echoed through the corridors. Bodies fell on both sides. Inch by inch, the aliens advanced toward the underground levels. In space, Captain Amy Brooks commanded her battleship in its last fight. Only 3 human ships remained. Hundreds of alien vessels surrounded them. All power to forward guns. Fire. Everything we have. Her ship shook as enemy weapons hit the hull. Explosions ripped through the decks. Brooks held onto her command chair as sparks flew around her. Captain, hull breach on decks 5 through 10. We're losing life support. Keep firing. Don't stop until we're dead. From his fighter, Captain John Lee watched Brooks's battleship explode in brilliant light. Only 2 human ships left now. Lee turned his damaged fighter toward the largest alien vessel. This is Green Leader. I'm out of missiles and almost out of fuel, going to manual. He aimed his ship at the alien battlecruiser's main weapon. His fighter accelerated to maximum speed. Warning lights flashed. Computer voice warned of collision. For Earth, Lee whispered, pressing the trigger that would detonate all his remaining explosives. The fighter struck the alien ship. A massive explosion tore through both vessels. Lee's last view was his home planet, small and blue, far below. In the underground lab, Williams announced the final countdown. 5 minutes to activation. All personnel, evacuate the facility. No. One moved. That's an order. Get out now. With respect, Doctor, said one technician. Someone needs to monitor the systems. We stay with you. Williams looked at her team. Good people. Brave people. They had worked together for years building this terrible weapon. Now they would die together, making sure it worked. Thank you, she said simply. General Adams' voice came over the radio. Dr. Williams, we can't hold them much longer. Maybe 3 minutes. Understood, General. 3 minutes is enough. Adams watched her soldiers fall back to the final defensive position. The blast doors to the underground led only through this room. Every human here knew they were the last line of defense. Remember your families, Adams told her troops. Remember why we fight. The aliens broke through the blast doors. Energy weapons fired from both sides. Humans ducked behind concrete barriers, returning fire with conventional weapons. Adams took cover next to a young soldier. Blood covered half his face. Sir, my family's in the Sydney bunker. Will they be safe? No, son. But the weapon will take these invaders with us. That's something. The soldier nodded, firing his rifle again. In the lab, Williams initiated the final sequence. 2 minutes, all systems green, energy at 98%. The weapon's hum became a roar. On screens, she could see energy building in ways that defied normal physics. This device would tear apart reality itself. Admiral Mason's voice crackled over comms. Doctor, this is it. Activate when ready. Copy that, sir. Williams turned to her team. It's been an honor. She placed her hand on the final activation button. Around her, techs held hands. Some closed their eyes. Some watched the screens. 1 minute to activation. Above them, General Adams fell wounded. An alien warrior stood over her, weapon raised. Adams looked up at her enemy and smiled. Too late, she said. The ground shook. The weapon was drawing power from Earth itself. The planet's core began to destabilize. 30 seconds, Williams announced. The enemy commander received warning from his ships. Energy readings were off the scale. Something terrible was happening beneath the planet's surface. Retreat to orbit. All forces, retreat to orbit. But there was no time. The chain reaction had begun. Activation in 10 seconds, Williams said calmly. 9, 8, 7. The aliens tried to run. Their ships tried to escape, but the weapons field already held them. 3, 2, 1. Activate. Williams pressed the button. Deep beneath the lab, the weapon fired. A beam of energy shot through Earth's crust, through the atmosphere, directly into the sun. The star shuddered, then began to change. Williams watched her screens. The readings were beautiful in their precision. The mathematics worked perfectly. The sun was starting its death dance. It's working, she whispered. The lab began to dissolve. Molecular bonds broke apart. Williams felt herself becoming energy, but she kept watching the screens until the very end above. Alien ships detected the sun's changes. Panic spread through their fleets. They tried to jump to hyperspace, but the weapon's effect prevented all escape. The sun pulsed once, twice, then began to collapse. Not a normal stellar death, but something new, something that would consume everything in its reach. In her final seconds, Williams smiled. Earth had kept its promise. 6 months after the weapon fired, Captain Amy Brooks sat in her new office. But she wasn't Captain Brooks anymore. The human survivors had made her Admiral Brooks. She commanded what was left of humanity now. She looked out the window at the strange green sky. This was Titan Base, built on a moon of Saturn. 18,000 humans lived here now. The last humans in the universe as far as they knew. Admiral, we have incoming ships, reported Commander Sarah Stone from the communication center. Brooks's heart jumped. Enemy ships? No, ma'am. The signatures match the Velon species. They're peaceful. Brooks walked to the command center. On screens, she saw 3 ships approaching slowly. The Velon had been neutral during the war. They never attacked Earth, but never helped either. "Open a channel," Brooks ordered. An alien face appeared on screen. It looked like a tall bird with 4 eyes. When it spoke, the computer translated. "Admiral Brooks of humanity, we come with respect and—" The alien paused. "Apology." "Speak your message," Brooks said. "We watched your final battle. We saw your sacrifice. The galaxy has changed since your weapon fired." Brooks waited. The alien continued. "The Zephyron Confederation is destroyed. Those who didn't die in the explosion are scattered and broken. Other species that supported them have asked for forgiveness." "Why tell us this?" Brooks asked. "We're almost extinct. We have nothing left." "That's not true," the alien said. "You have proven something important. You have shown that even a dying species can fight with honor. Many races now speak of humanity with respect." The screen changed. It showed star maps. Large sections were marked in dark colors. "Your weapon destroyed everything in 4 billion miles, just as you warned. 12,000 enemy ships, 6 occupied star systems, but it also created something else." The map zoomed in. Where the explosion occurred, strange energy patterns swirled like a cosmic storm. "A beacon," the alien explained. "Your final transmission plays on repeat, powered by the energy from your weapon. Every species in the galaxy hears it constantly. Attack us again, and we all die together." Dr. Ben Harper, who survived as a civilian scientist, looked at the data. "Fascinating. The explosion created a permanent quantum transmitter." The alien nodded. "Your message has become a memorial and a warning. Aggressive species are now afraid. Peaceful species are now hopeful." Admiral Brooks studied the screen. "What do you want from us?" "We offer sanctuary. Real sanctuary. Not just shelter, but partnership. Our worlds have room for your people. Your children can grow up safe. And in return? Nothing. We learned from your sacrifice. We want to help you rebuild because the galaxy needs species like humanity." Brooks looked around her command center. These people had lost everything. Families, homes, their entire planet, but they survived. "Give us time to decide," she said. "Of course. We will wait." The transmission ended. Brooks called a meeting of all surviving human leadership. In the conference room, they discussed the offer. General Tom Baker, now military advisor, was skeptical. "Can we trust them? They never helped during the war." "They also never attacked us," said Dr. Ben Harper. "And they're right. The galaxy has changed." Commander Sarah Stone pulled up more reports. "We've been monitoring alien communications. Many species are changing their policies. Some are forming peace alliances. Others are dismantling military fleets." "Because they're afraid of us?" Brooks asked. "Because they respect what we did," Stone replied. "We chose death over surrender. We chose to fight even knowing we would lose everything." Brooks thought about the 18,000 people on this base. Half were children. They needed homes, schools, futures. "What do our people want?" she asked. That evening, Brooks walked through the corridors of Titan Base. She talked to families, listened to stories. Many had lost everything on Earth, parents, children, friends, but they kept going. She met an old woman tending a small garden. "Earth flowers," the woman said. "I kept the seeds in my pocket during the escape." "They're beautiful," Brooks said. "My granddaughter helps me with them. She never saw Earth, but I tell her stories about blue skies and green grass." Brooks nodded. "Would you like her to see real skies again? Real grass?" The woman looked up. "Is that possible?" "Maybe. We have an offer. A new home." The next day, Brooks announced her decision. "We accept the Velen offer. We will join their worlds, but we maintain our independence. We keep our military. We keep our culture." "And our warning?" asked General Baker. "The beacon continues broadcasting. The galaxy will always remember what happened when humanity was pushed too far. 1 year later, the first human colony was established on a Velen world. Children played under alien suns. Adults learned new trades, new languages. Slowly, very slowly, humanity began to heal. Brooks established a memorial center. Every day they played recordings from Earth's final battle. Children learned about Admiral Mason, Captain Lee, Dr. Williams, and all who died for humanity's survival. The Velen kept their promise. Other species offered trade agreements, technology exchanges, cultural programs. Humanity was no longer alone. But in space stations around the former solar system, human engineers maintained the beacon. It broadcasted constantly, using energy from the destroyed sun. People of the galaxy. This is Admiral Jack Mason of the United Earth Defense Force. We will not surrender. We will not run. Attack us again, and we all die together. The message continued, day after day, year after year. An eternal reminder that sometimes the smallest species can shake the entire galaxy. Brooks visited the memorial often. She looked at pictures of Earth, blue and beautiful. She thought about all they lost and all they gained. We survived, she whispered, just like we always do. Above her, the alien sky was different from Earth's, but somewhere human children were learning to call it home.